Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us on this Friday night. I'm Jay Kohn. Janelle Slade has the night off. Montanans tonight are mourning the loss of longtime U.S. Senator John Melcher. Melcher represented Montana in Congress for 20 years in the 1970s and 80s, serving first in the House, then in the U.S. Senate. Melcher had a storied career in local, state, and national politics. He also was a veteran awarded the Purple Heart after he was wounded in World War II. He passed away at his home in Missoula Thursday at the age of 93. John Melcher was a World War II veteran and a veterinarian from Forsyth. He started his career in politics on the Forsyth City Council. He served as mayor, then state lawmaker, before becoming a congressman representing Montana's Old Eastern District in 1969. 7 years later, Melcher won election to the U.S. Senate, to the seat held by Democrat Mike Mansfield, who was retiring. Melcher spent much of his career focusing on farm and food issues.
He knew agriculture better than any U.S. senator. He knew every detail, every nuance of it, and he would fight for it all the time.
But also had a reputation as a maverick. He was one of just 3 senators voting against a landmark 1986 tax reform bill, and also was a Democrat who opposed abortion. One of Melcher's final efforts as a senator may have played a role in his undoing. The 1988 bill to set aside 1.4 million acres of wilderness in Montana and opening up another 4 million acres to logging and other potential development.
Well, I think it's very likely that the bill will pass as it passed the Senate.
But President Ronald Reagan vetoed the bill just days before the 1988 election. And Melcher's opponent, Republican Conrad Burns, portrayed Melcher as ineffective. Days later, Burns defeated Melcher in an upset 52% to 48%, becoming the first Republican to win a U.S. Senate race in Montana in 42 years. Melcher did attempt a comeback 6 years later, but eventually lost in the Democratic Senate primary. Melcher is survived by 3 daughters, 2 sons, 10 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. News of Melcher's passing prompting words of praise from across the state. Montana Governor Steve Bullock calling Melcher, quote, a statesman whose legacy of decency and dedication to public service and to the people of Montana set a high bar for all of those who follow in his footsteps. And Montana Democratic Party Executive Director Nancy Keenan calls Melcher a Montana giant, quote, a tireless public servant whose dedication to Montana was equaled only by the vastness of the big sky he loved so much. On to our weather scene tonight. Connor is here with us, and Connor, my wife, says we've got the best of both worlds. Not only do we now own part of this all-time snowfall record, but she says there's no snow on the ground, which is much to her liking.
Absolutely. I'd say she's right. And we spent all that time kind of humming and hawing when things changed last night, and It was all for naught because we did, in fact, tie the record dead on. Now, that system that was through our way yesterday changed quite dramatically yesterday evening, knocked those snow totals way back. Now, I thought there was still enough in it to break the record, but no, just enough to tie it, 103.5 inches. But that doesn't mean there wasn't some snowfall in other places. There were some high totals in the western portion of the state. 10 inches up in Conrad, 6.5 for Choteau and just east of Helena, and 8 inches down in the Gallatin Gateway. On our side of the state, more rain. 1.04 inches in Miles City. Now, that was a daily record for them. So definitely still a pretty serious system for us. We just saw a little bit more rain. And now, as Jay said, we can say we have the record and hopefully onto some spring.
All right. Thank you very much, Connor. A Helena district judge overturns the convictions of 2 men in a 1994 Montana murder case and has now ordered a new trial. Tonight, MTN's Dennis Carlson brings us more on the judge's ruling.
In her ruling, Judge Kathy Seeley affirms in no uncertain terms arguments by lawyers for Fred Lawrence and Paul Jenkins that new evidence in the case meets Montana's DNA exoneration statute. Seeley says no DNA in the case links Jenkins or Lawrence to the scene where Donna Marr's body was found alongside Colorado Gulch Road. The judge says DNA does match David Nelson, known for violent kidnappings, robberies, and currently in prison for a Deer Lodge double homicide. Seeley also notes that admissions Nelson made to his nephew Fred are more consistent with the physical evidence from the crime scene. Based on the new evidence, the judge says there is clearly reasonable probability that a different outcome at trial could have been reached. The judge also makes two very interesting statements in her ruling. The new evidence, said Seeley, is generally inconsistent with the state's theory of the cases as presented at trial. The judge also notes the DNA and statements from Fred Nelson, quoting now, support the theory that David Nelson, a known killer, was involved in the robbery, kidnapping, and homicide of Donna Maar, unquote. In overturning the convictions for robbery, aggravated kidnapping, and homicide, the judge has ordered that both Lawrence and Jenkins receive new trials. In Helena, Dennis Carlson, MTN News.
Thank you, Dennis. It did take 7 years from the time that the Montana Innocence Project first took a look at this case until now. So needless to say, it's been an exciting day for the lawyers who refused to give up.
And this never, ever gets old. It's as exciting now as it was on our first exoneration. One of our attorneys who worked with us, who's Larry Gent from Bozeman, told me today that in his entire legal career, this is the most gratifying result he's ever seen. And it's really hard to disagree with that.
The years of hard work, of poring over documents and DNA results paid off today with Judge Seeley's ruling to vacate the life sentences of Paul Jenkins and Freddie Lawrence. It was a case that came down to science.
DNA was huge because there was DNA and pieces of evidence that hadn't been tested ever. It was a long, long time ago, 25 years ago or so. It had never been tested, so we were hopeful that the results were going to exclude our clients, and which they did. But we also uncovered in our investigation new evidence of innocence that had never been presented to a jury, and the person that matched on the DNA hit had confessed to this crime to family members, and we presented that as well.
The Montana legislature passed an enhanced post-DNA conviction statute in 2015 that expanded the rule of law about forensic testing after a conviction. The Montana Innocence Project believes this could be the first case of its kind to use the new law.
DNA is probably my favorite kind of forensic science to work with, mainly because it's so definitive.
Their lawyers know the next few weeks will be both exciting and unsettling for these men.
They've got a lot of catching up to do with their families. If you dwell on the past, you know, it's hard to move past it and, you know, enjoy the rest of their lives.
In Missoula, Jill Valley, MTN News.
Thank you, Jill. Now, Jenkins and Lawrence will be soon moved from prison to a jail as soon as possible. That's where they'll await a decision by the state and lawyers on what is next. As yet, no new trial date has been set. A man already facing charges in Carbon County for allegedly molesting a child now stands accused of raping a woman. Gene Devereaux was arraigned on the latest of 6 felony sex crimes. Devereaux was first charged last year with repeatedly raping a young girl. That alleged sexual abuse taking place for years. Detectives, though, then later learned about an adult victim. The woman telling authorities a car crash left her with a broken pelvis and broken legs. She said she declined to have sex with Devereaux because she was in pain, but now says he forcibly raped her. It is unclear tonight if Devereaux is in custody. A man accused of gunning down his estranged wife and shooting another woman in Belgrade is now accused of trying to get his teenage son to take the blame. Joseph DeWise is charged with deliberate homicide for the murder of Lauren DeWise. New court documents say DeWise called his daughter from jail, saying that her 15-year-old brother must admit to the murder. DeWise was heard telling her that if her brother took responsibility, he could be out of prison by age 21. DeWise is also charged with attempting to kill another woman who was at the home at the time. Tonight he's being held on a $1 million bond. Testing continues at the Missoula YMCA Learning Center after an employee there was arrested on suspicion of using meth in the facility. Autumn Hines is accused of smoking meth in a drug den that she created in the laundry room of the daycare. YMCA Interim Executive Director Heather Foster says the full extent of the contamination isn't known yet. Samples have been collected from the daycare and some results were expected back later today. In the meantime, that daycare has been closed since Wednesday. Still to come on tonight's 5:30 News, it's a race for Montana's Republican Senate nomination. The right to challenge incumbent Democrat John Tester in November. Today, one of the candidates unveils his financial lead and his billionaire backer. And later in sports, we catch up with Jill Barta to see how Montana's newest professional athlete is feeling after last night's WNBA draft.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Kohn and Janelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 530 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.